What is up, everyone? It's going to be my Volibear jungle video, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know on how to play Volibear jungle and climb. So I'm going to be playing in Diamond Masters MMR, and the runes for Volibear: press attack, cut down, electrically, and second page inspiration. I really like to go Jack of all trades plus cashback. I've been experimenting a bit with cashback, and I think in solo queue you do not want free boots as much because of, you do want to get the CDR boots on Volibear early game so you can really have a lot of impact. For pathing, always just path down. If you're on red side, solo Raptors and then farm 3 camps into down. If you're on blue side, just solo blue with your E ability at level 1. Volibear is extremely strong early game jungler, but his priority is to farm. Yes, you are somewhat of a power farming jungler. So here you could E earlier, but let's just play normally. So you always want to kind of think about Voli's abilities. Your E is a really important ability that you're generally using to catch people or chain it with your other abilities. Here you can E, or you can play a different, you can smite after, or you can save E as well. But just going to make this video very simple for people trying to pick up Volibear or just master him as well. Important things about your W is it can be used during your Q animation, which is really good because it gets rid of the cast time. Also, the first one, second mark is much more important than the first one, so always be ready to bite them for a second time. And as you're clearing, one thing you'll notice is your Volibear passive. Volibear passive is an extremely important part for Volibear kick that a lot of people underestimate. Like, Volibear passive is extremely important that you really just have to think a lot about it. For example, here, I'm always trying to keep the Volibear stacks going, as you can see in the lower bar. Ideally, if you kind of path well, you can keep the lightning going. And once it's fully stacked at 5, it gives you a lot more attack speed. And it gives you that lightning attack, which is, like we talked about, very important. So all in all, if you're clearing well as Volibear, you should have a very fast early game clear. Just with how much, attack speed you have. And if you're pathing like the way I showed you, just keep your passive stacks going. You're not going to have a hard time with the Volibear pathing. And your jungle Pokemon, I like to have jungle pet. I like to have the red one. Mostly because it adds a lot of burst in your E combos. So it's just more damage, and red, very popular recently, so definitely go for that. All in all, you should have around like a 315 full clear with a smite up. In case you want to play for invade on them, like a Xin Zhao, you can possibly invade. So here I'm going to do Q max first, so we're going to be maxing Q. Crab is spawning, so I can either try to one-shot crab, or I could potentially invade to kind of see Xin Zhao's clear right away. So what I'm going to do is ward to see if Xin Zhao's down here. And once it sort of reveals this information, what it tells me is actually Xin Zhao should not be here, right? Because his jungle is cleared on this side very quickly, so he's most likely in top side. So we can assume Xin Zhao is on top craft. So we always want to kind of play around information like that. Ganking bot here, because they've already warded, even though Chanel looks like a very gankable person, it's hard to gank her. So what we're going to do is actually go for a Jace pick here. But because he's quite fast, we're going to have to avoid that. And I don't mind if Xin Zhao fights me. So, like, I'm okay with a fight. So I'm always just going to hit the plant to kind of see where possibly Xin Zhao might be. So here I actually wanted to fight him. This is really good for us. So all we have to do is just hit our spells and he's pretty much dead. Real simple play, right? Real easy. And here you can base or you can play for another full clear. The reason, this is just kind of like me walking in to see information, right? Me hitting the plant to just see the clear of Xin Zhao. Knowing that, if they're not on that one crab, they're generally... Like, if Xin Zhao doesn't show on this crab at, like, crab timer, you have to evaluate that. He's most likely just on the top crab. And here, because I see this Gromp is up, and it's on a respawn, now we have really good vision to see his path, because his path is down and up. So what I'm thinking in my mind is just that, okay, so now he's going to be doing a very predictable path that I can just sort of play around if I want to. I could invade, steal his Raptors real quick. But in my opinion, I think invading camps isn't the most important. A bigger priority that you should have is just to clear and play for objectives. And then generally gank, right? Like gank when it's like really good for you. Invading, unless you know how to invade, it's very risky. And it's not as, return investment. It doesn't return on your investment as much as you would, hope. But my goal is to fight early, right? So I want to fight. So my goal, always fight early. So here, a lot of times you're going to see is me using my Q. and then kind of layering my W in the animation, and also just pretty much using everything in the combo. That's an important thing always remember. So what I know is Xin is going to be around here. I know he's either finishing Krugs or he's going to play for Void Grubs, right? So I just have to kind of like bet on what I think is happening. But because I'm so strong, if I'm just on the Grubs, I'm just going to stay on it here. And I'm just going to burn at least one. And I think Xin Zhao, if anything, he would go for, you know... Okay, so he got Dragon. So he just traded right away. He didn't want to fight me, which is smart by him, by the way. Because Volibear on Void Grubs is extremely strong. Level 5 with a buy like this, it's not fair, really. So, you know, good call by him. Here, I'm going to just finish the crab and maybe invade. Like, you see how I'm just ignoring top? Like, top lane, it's just like, you have to be smart about when you gank it. Like, maybe I can gank it now because I'm 6th. But, like, you generally want to be safe around ganking top lane. So here, Q on top of him. Combo fast. Just keep autoing R afterwards. Yeah, generally you're gonna have to play around the second Q to get a kill, and you just have to make sure you have enough mana, right? Like long fights, Volibear extremely good, and my R very good for that kind of you know, that kind of fight style, really good. And I know Mordekaiser R'd, right? So Mordekaiser having no R there is just really good for me. And that's the only reason, really, I went for that. If he has ulti up, do never, I repeat, never gank Mordekaiser. This is where it gets interesting, right? Like, you're like, okay, Inori, what are you building? Well, we always go Roa. The build that's really broken is pretty much Roa. Just always first item has to be Roa. And always, if you have enough, buy this. And then prioritize the Ruby, right? This component, don't really worry about finishing it. If you can buy the Blasting Wand, it ups up your E damage by a lot. And also increases your passive damage, which scales off AP by a lot, right? So AP is actually very strong on Volibear, so don't think you're trolling, but it's not something you want to build like too much of, right? Like you're gonna see me build Roa, and that's like the only AP item you really want to build. The rest, it's not that important. It's just all about the Roa. So here I'm gonna just continuously farm, and I'm just keep farming for a bit. And my goal now is just kind of scale. Play for fights after a full clear. Like this meta, it's a bit of a joke. It's just literally about farming right now. If your champion is fast to farm like a full clear jungler, you should just be always prioritizing your farm, right? Because the problem is, if you don't prioritize your farm, you end up falling way too far behind. And your teammates, your team is really... The way I look at it, my team is... I don't like... You generally shouldn't like your team. Your team's always going to be really sabotaging you. So you do not want to have any sort of reliance on your team, right? Your team is... They're sabotagers. We don't like them. We play around us, our condition. Here, there's no more farm left. Okay, so what do we do after that? Well, actually, Krugs are up. So don't mind if I do. And once there's no more farm left, this is where you play aggressive as Volibear. You see, our CS is really good. Even though there's this crab up here, I don't think realistically I can make it all the way there. So I don't really want to do that. So what I want to do is actually play for, you know, like a lane gank, right? My team is pinging me. There's a ward there. Okay, I understand. I'm not going to go that way. I'll wait for a hook. And a combo. Real simple, right? So maybe I think Xin Zhao. I think Xin Zhao is going to play for top crab, right? I think that's the Xin Zhao thing. He will probably go for the crab. So I can just kind of play around that information. What I'm going to do is dive most likely with my team here. But I'm sort of kidnapped. Damn it, I thought I could flash out last second. I actually almost lived. The flash was a bit troll. It should have been late. So the build you generally could go is you can go into Navori, right? And that's like the one shot. But if you don't really like the Navori build, just go into Iceborne. Go into, if their team is armor heavy like this one, go into like armor and then MR, right? So what I'm going to do is go armor into MR. And my core build in these situations is usually Iceborne into Spear Visage. Then my team is like very AD heavy. Then I go like Iceborne into like Frozen Heart. These are really good items. You can have Thornmail as well. Best MR item is always Visage though, so always play around Visage. So I'm really strong now with Roabai. I think Xin Zhao might be on the grubs. So what we're gonna do is run in here. Just kind of chunk him. He shouldn't be able to win this, so he's just kind of trolling a bit. He waited long enough though that he actually was able to snipe it out. Respects to the Jhin, but that's not a concern for me. The volley's online, so once we have a completed row, we just farm, and then we play around the same conditions that we've been talking about for a while. We just full clear and then play around our full clear conditions. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, so I'm just going to keep farming as we usually farm. And you can just, you know, you can look around the map, but I'm really just, honestly, it's not that bad to just turn off your brain during this autopilot mode, right? Like, you could just have your brain off right now and just prioritize the full clear. Sometimes in situations where, like, okay, I think dragon time is right now, I think we should dragon now. So what do I do is I actually, oh, we want to group up now? We should go. If you remember earlier, Xin Zhao used an important ability. He used his flash and his R, right? So I knew exactly, that was my time to pounce. The bear was really, that was the moment for the bear to unleash power. My team needs to stop fighting, so I can always use the backping when necessary to tell my team, you don't got me on your side right here. I have a priority, which is to finish this dragon. So they have vision on it, obviously, but it doesn't concern. So here, instead of doing Krugs, I think I might be able to reach here before Xin Zhao goes for the crab. So I think top crab is really good for us. This is the problem in this game. This Shen is really the most useless Shen I've seen in a while. And Mordekaiser is a bit of a counter to me. So we have to get MR right after. We might actually have to go MR now. Even stand a chance against such a behemoth. But he's actually playing quite smart, so I think he might be very well in tuned in playing his champion. So I'm going to think about what armor item I need, what items I want. Iceborne is just really solid because it's cheap. A lot of this stuff, like this, the builds that we're going to be doing is really, you know, it's really just all about cheap items, right? And that's what cashback will do, is it'll give you around like 300 gold by 2 items. So it's like just free money off of like these early buys to help you get to your full build. And if you really want to spice it up, jazz it up a bit, you can always go for like a Rift Maker later on. You really want to kind of convert your damage into kind of like more. You always Q max into W max. That's just pretty much how Volibear is. You don't really get good value from pretty much anything else. 1 second, let me close the tab. Here I could play for Herald, but I don't think Herald's a good fight. I think the enemy team is actually quite strong. I could maybe kill there, but it's not something I'm really focused on right now. I think Surf and Zyra are easy kills. Always play around who's weak, don't play towards who's strong. Like me trying to mess with me trying to do something about this Mordekaiser without my help. Like, I think a lot of people fail in that regard, where they always say like, you know, what do I do if the losing lane is just bleeding so much, right? You cannot, you going there will make things worse. See how I'm like avoiding the Herald fight? And what I'm going to do is actually play for this play. So I always avoid the area that's really hard for us to win, right? You know what I think is really easy for us to do is to kill this Jace, right? I think this Jace is a very easy target for me. I can just run down. I can easily just kind of run down here. Eventually, you never escape the bear. Maybe not easily, but I got a Mordekaiser teleport, so that's worth it in my heart. There, I should have went around because there was no way he could stay there. So I should have went this way. Mistakes were made. Game is still perfectly fine. Just a quick base. Just a quick base, you know. Sometimes you just gotta get that quick base timer. I was honestly surprised he was so, like, so much faster than me. It's crazy. That doesn't change too much. Honestly, getting the Mordekaiser TP is good for us in this game. And my goal is still the same. I really need to get my items, and then I have to get my MR items to carry this game. Now Mordekaiser has to walk all the way mid. I want to play for my jungle. I'm not going to be the one to kill Mordekaiser, period. It's not going to be Inori. The way we're going to kill Mordekaiser is we're going to have to avoid him and let him kill himself. So now I see him going top side. That's good. There's going to be a window for us to kill him, but it's not going to be for some time. And we can easily avoid him and just get fed off of the other people around him, which is pretty much our priority. Kai'Sa has a base. That's fine. Kai'Sa can base. Never feel like you just never feel like you have to do something. You don't have to do anything. Playing just farming is literally a-okay. There's nothing wrong with just farming in these situations. I think it's warded here, is what I'm thinking. Just want to see if they play on tower. Just the way he's moving, yeah. My goal is dragon. I might be in trouble here, actually. Damn, I don't know why Blitz is sitting here. He should be coming here to clear vision with me. He's like AFK in like the bot brush when there's like nothing happening. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have walked up. Honestly, I'm surprised I got hit by the blinding there. Mordekaiser has no teleports, so he can't actually help. But now they're making these two-on-2 plays, which, in my opinion, are... We don't have to be doing this at all. We should have just been grouping up with Kai'Sa. But people always want to do weird shit, and it happens, and it's okay. He is Seb the Joker. I actually think we can win this fight with Kai'Sa and me here. The reason why is because usually they split off and Shen just has R. Shen had R this whole time. We just have to go in this situation. Damn, I just was about to have my spells up. Winnable. Good, good, good. That was like the best fight we're gonna get for a while. We just have to take it and go for it. Engage not the best, but their new team comp is actually very bad for Volibear. It's something we have to avoid. I don't think Dragon is going to be ours. I personally don't think we'll be able to get Dragon. But one thing you can guarantee is that you're going to get jungle farm. And here I'm just going to keep farming. Mordekaiser's just there. Okay. What does that tell us? We're not going to be getting that. But one thing you can do is farm, right? And a big thing is, after that entire sequence, right? Both junglers end up not farming for a while. So something you can just really, catch up on is your jungle farm. Getting the Jace would be really good. Could be able to kill him here. Very nicely done. That could be a Baron too. When you have a window to fight that you think it's good, you just have to take that window. The way you think about it is like this. When there's windows to group, when there's the window where your team is grouped up, you just have to think about doing something. When your team is split, then you just have to not throw it in that sequence. Those situations. And a Baron like that is huge. Mordekaiser or Seraphine DP'd. I mean, they just have such an annoying comp for me, right? Like, there are a lot of champs of theirs. They just sort of like permakaichi, like Seraphine Zyra. Which I think I'll be fine with once I get like the Visage and stuff. But yeah. I don't want to fight here, even though this Kaizo wants to like pull us. But Shen-R is good though. Shen-R. We're finally using Shen-Rs, which is really important because we never really had a top laner for a while. And this is I'm just gonna farm here. Right? Like, I'm close to my item. There's like nothing happening in this game. I'm just gonna farm. Farm and then we're just gonna look from there. I might try to defend against Mordekaiser. I don't think until I have MR that, like, until I get like have like MR, I'm not gonna be dealing with that champ at all. My team grouping mid is very bad. I don't know why we're doing that. We'll keep my passive stocked up and see what happens after. The timeout now. Shen is getting really tanky. I salute this Shen. Shen has kept us really positive mental this entire sequence. So here, we don't really have a Baron push, but I'm obviously playing super selfish, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. 2 people are dead right now, which is good. Check the brush. Okay, check the Grom. Okay. I'm gonna just set up some wards here. Damn, I messed up my smite on him. Personally, I have so much money, but once you miss a timer to bait, like group up and do something, and you just have to kind of stay with the team. Even though I have 3k, it's super bad, but like the game was just sort of weird in that regard. Like if my team wants to fight right now, I think we should do something because we have Baron, right? And the E-poke is always going to be really deadly. So I'm always like, this is where the red Pokemon item, the jungle item, takes into place. Good for vision attacking, good for poking, as you can see. All these things are really good. I think I'm going to dive in here. Oh, dude, I hate Volibear. Hubby, that Volibear can't even make that jump. I'm going to see if there's any jungle camps up right now. Be in the brush area and go from there. And the E-poke is consistent. It's very deadly. And we're just sort of sieging right now. I mean, I don't really have to do anything. Really. This is what we're doing when we're sieging. We're just Eing and going on targets who are close by. We're not charging in like into the back line. We do eventually use our R to engage. There, like, obviously I was trying to go over the wall, but kind of... The R in Volibear, you can't really go over walls. The way it works is... Personally, I think fighting here would be bad. Oh, we have a lot of money. I have literally 4k so I'm gonna base. So here I decide how much MR do I need. So Visage is quite good. If I really want more MR, I think Abyssal Mass, for example, would be really good here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. What's Abyssal Mass is good about it? It kind of reduces MR of targets that are nearby. Plus, it's just a cheap secondary MR item. And cashback is starting to kick in quite well for us. If you really want to get the most out of Jack of all trades, you have to go into Invading, but it's honestly not that bad to just do what I'm doing and just get some decent value from it. Here we're gonna do Dragon. Group up with the carry, right? Volibear, like, you're not doing all the damage, right? You need like one person who does damage around you. In this game, we have the Kai'Sa, we have the Wei, right? Like if I do a play, it's always going to be around the Kai'Sa or the Wei. That's just how it goes, right? You're not going to make too many plays, like big plays around like lesser carries. Like you need damage. You just have to have some more damage around you. I would buy a pink, but I just don't have the item slots for it. This game we're kind of playing a bit of a macro kind of situation. Just got crab. I'm gonna base and get my item here. I could go for a play, but I really don't want to force on champions when Baron is coming up, right? And I also think if we're gonna do Baron, we need pink wards. This is where I'm gonna get pink wards for a team. Obviously, my farm's doing really well, and my back, like cash back, we made 600 gold, right? This is well where I would be extremely strong. I might as well get the red. You should always get the red before a play. You don't really. This is where I'm gonna slow down a lot in farming. I feel like I have sort of all the items that I really need. Now it's just about forcing fights now. Like I'm not gonna get stronger for a while. Like, this is, I would say this is the strongest I am. I just cashed out on 4 items. So now I really wanna, this is where I'm gonna push for advantages. I'm gonna push for fights, engaging, and just getting people's flashes or whatever. Doing Baron is hard. What I think is always good is to chase them here and force them. Getting flashes like that, very good. Here we can easily fight too. Get the Xin Zhao real quick, right? And now that their smite is gone, this is where I personally will start to feel really good about just doing Baron. Now I'm feeling pretty good. And it's a lot about picking, right? Like Volibear, you're really fast, and when you get the combo off, you do a lot of damage, right? Make sure you smite around 1200. Your smite doesn't have to be perfect, right? But it just has to be enough to get the objective. Sometimes later in the game, I sell my boots for like MR boots as well. That's something you can do. Your last item is more like free-for-all. You can build whatever for your final item. You can go Rift Maker if you want to just go for more damage. It's really up to you how you want to build for your final item. Just gonna siege mid here. They can easily wave clear if it's just me, right? But and with this build, your E is actually very strong. 1 E does like 500. So you add a lot more value without having to like queue in and all that kind of stuff. Like sieging is just very much stronger. Here I'm just gonna go on whoever I can. There is a bot tower here. And here, this should be the final push, right? Like, even though I look low, I'm not actually that low. I still have arm. And, you know, just a couple W's. Your W is missing health, right? So you can see where it just does a lot of damage. And here I just kind of auto the tower down and just finish off what I started. Yeah, games aren't going to be perfect, right? I made a few mistakes for sure. But, you know, you just have to be calm and, you know, really play around your item spikes if you want to climb as Volibear. So, this game was in Diamond Masters. I hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Good luck in the game. Good luck in the climb.